and share with the Honourable Minister of Finance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. Our analysis has focused on ensuring the reviewed budget allocations for the following votes. Vote 270, Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization. Vote 271, Accountant General's Department. Vote 040, Public Debt Charges. Vote 030, Pension and Graduates. Vote 060, National Audit Office. Vote 020, Miscellaneous and Other Statutory Payments. Vote 279, Financial Intelligence Authority. Vote 273, Malawi Revenue Authority. Vote 278, Unforeseen Expenditure. The cluster engaged controlling officers and examined the performance of these institutions during the current financial year, as well as the proposed allocations for the forthcoming financial year. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, allow me to highlight some of the key observations and recommendations made by the cluster. Vote 270, Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the committee noted that the ministry has been allocated with 24.78 billion for the 2026-2027 financial year, representing an increase approximately 5.1% over the revised 2025-2026 budget. The committee commended the ministry for several notable achievements, including the migration of state-owned enterprises bank accounts to the Reserve Bank of Malawi, operationalization of the Revenue Appeals Tribunal and Quality Assurance reviews conducted in 22 local councils. In addition, the committee noted progress in implementing social protection programs, including the enrollment of over 292,000 households under the Social Cash Transfer Program and more than 528,000 households under the Climate Smart Public Works Program. However, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the committee observed that implementation of some activities was negatively affected by erratic funding of the recurrent transaction. At one point, the ministry went without funding for 3 consecutive months, creating operational challenges. The committee, therefore, encourages the ministry to remain steadfast in enforcing fiscal discipline across ministries, departments and agencies, while intensifying efforts to mobilize both domestic and external resources in the face of declining development assistance. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the committee also urges government to remain committed to reducing the country's public debt stock while ensuring that debt restructuring efforts do not destabilize the financial sector. Vote 271, Accountant General's Department. The Accountant General Department, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is at the core of financial management and accountability in government operations. The budget allocations has increased to 24.7 billion, representing a 5.1% rise from the previous fiscal year. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, despite this increase, the committee noted that for pensions and gratuities, the department had been allocated 302 billion Malawi kwacha, which represented a 28.7% decrease from the previous revised budget. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, the committee remains deeply concerned about delays in the payment of pensions and gratuities. While government committed to reducing the waiting period for the pension payments from 9 months to 3 months, The committee was informed that this target cannot be achieved due to funding shortfalls. In addition, 107 billion Malawi kwacha is required to completely eliminate arrears. The committee therefore strongly recommends that Treasury either fully fund the existing allocations or provide additional resources to ensure that retired civil servants receive their benefits within a reasonable time frame. Vote 060, National Audit Office. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, the National Audit Office serves the primary institutions ensuring transparency and accountability in the use of public funds. For the 2026-2027 financial year, the office has been allocated 9.28 billion, representing a 4.2% increase from the previous revised allocation. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the committee welcomed this increase, but remains concerned about several operational challenges affecting the office. The committee also noted that office requires additional resources of about 1.5 billion to strengthen audits and embassies and local councils, particularly in light of increasing public resources being transferred to local authorities. Your committee, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, the committee therefore recommends that government provide additional resources to support audits of local councils. Additionally, the National Audit Office continues to operate from premises that were declared unsafe as far back as 2014. And this situation has persisted for more than a decade. The committee strongly urges the government to fast-track the construction of a purpose-built National Audit Office complex to ensure a conducive working environment for auditors. Vote 273, Malawi Revenue Authority. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, the Malawi Revenue Authority remains central to domestic resource mobilization. In the 2026-2027 financial year, the authority has been allocated agency fees of 182.2 billion, based on a projected revenue collection targeted on 6.07 trillion Malawi kwacha. While acknowledging the critical role played by the authority, the committee emphasizes the need for improved public education on tax matters to enhance environment compliance. The committee also urges the authority to exercise sensitivity in tax enforcement, particularly with respect to small and medium enterprises, the vulnerable citizens who are already struggling under the prevailing economic conditions. Vote 279, Financial Intelligence Authority. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, the Financial Intelligence Authority plays a crucial role in combating money laundering and other financial crimes. The vote has been allocated about 3.7 billion Malawi kwacha in the 2026-2027 financial year, which represents 39.7% increase from the previous financial year. The committee noted that during the year, the authorities supported investigation into 82 million laundering cases, obtained 2 forfeiture orders worth 2.8 billion Malawi kwacha, and secured 6 preservation orders worth 10.32 billion Malawi kwacha. However, the committee was informed that the authority lacks adequate human resources to analyze the large volume of financial transactions reported daily by financial institutions. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the committee therefore supports the proposal by the authority to procure anti-money laundering analytical system capable of analyzing transactions in the real time. The committee further recommends that government expedite the functional review of the authority to increase staffing levels and develop regulations governing the management of the forfeit assets. Unforeseen expenditures, that's vote 278. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, the committee noted that in the 2026-2027 financial year, this vote has been allocated 5 billion Malawi kwacha. While acknowledging the importance of maintaining resources to respond to emergencies such as disasters and food insecurity, the committee emphasizes that this vote must be utilized strictly for genuine emergencies and not as an alternative source of funding from planned activities. In conclusion, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the observations and recommendations I have highlighted reflect the crucial financial and operational challenges facing key institutions under the Cluster 7. While government funding remains concentrated, strategic resource allocation is necessary to address efficiencies and ensure the smooth delivery of essential public services. I therefore urge this August House to consider this report and support the recommendations that aim to improve financial accountability and service delivery. With these remarks, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I beg to move that the report be noted by the House. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, thank you very much for your attention.
Switch off the microphone, honorable member. Thank you, honorable members. Thank you very much. The chairperson for the Cluster Committee on Budget and Public Accounts Cluster. Thank you very much. Honorable members, we need the next cluster, please. We have so far done 3 cluster reports. We're waiting for the next one. Honorable members, Chair of Chairs, if you are in the House, we would like to remind the responsibility of chairpersons. We don't need to keep reminding you. Honorable, is that another cluster? What cluster is that?
This is the cluster number 10
Okay.
On industry, trade, tourism, and communication information technology.
Please, Chair, proceed. And Chair of Chair, while you're coming to the podium, Chair of Chairs, please let's stick to the cluster commits. So remind each other so we can get it done by tomorrow. Thank you. You have the floor, Chair. You are starting at 14:20. You have 20 minutes, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, First Deputy Speaker. First Deputy Speaker, sir, I stand before you and before this August House to present the report on cluster number 10 on industry, trade, and tourism, and media, information, and communication, following the cluster's review of the proposed 2026-2027 national budget. At the outset, allow me, First Deputy Speaker, to express my sincere appreciation to the Office of the Speaker for the continued support rendered to the cluster throughout the deliberations. I also extend my gratitude to honorable members of the cluster for their commitment, constructive engagement, and valuable insights, which greatly contributed to the formulation of the recommendations contained in this report. I further wish to acknowledge the cooperation of the controlling officers who appeared before the cluster and provided the information required for our analysis. Their openness and willingness to engage with the committee greatly facilitated our work. In the same vein, First Deputy Speaker, I commend officials from Treasury, the Clerk of Parliament, Management and Secretariat for their logistical and technical support that ensured the smooth conduct of our proceedings. First Deputy Speaker, when this House considered the previous 2025-2026 national budget, the cluster highlighted several funding gaps and institutional challenges affecting a number of agencies under its oversight. The cluster consequently made a series of recommendations aimed at strengthening the capacity and performance of these institutions so that they may effectively contribute to Malawi's broader economic transformation agenda. In keeping with its oversight mandate, the cluster has continued to monitor developments in these institutions. Accordingly, in reviewing the proposed allocations for the 2026-2027 financial year, the committee sought to assess the extent to which the concerns previously raised by the House have been addressed. While the cluster notes progress in certain areas, it also observes that there are several institutions which continue to face challenges similar to those highlighted during the previous budget cycle. First Deputy Speaker, cluster number 10 carefully examined the proposed budget allocations for the institutions under its oversight to assess whether they are aligned with the strategic priorities of the Malawi 2063 agenda, particularly in promoting trade and investment, strengthening regulatory frameworks, supporting industrial development, and advancing competitive media and communication sector. First Deputy Speaker, in the course of its deliberations, the cluster also engaged several key regulatory institutions, including the Malawi Gaming and Lotteries Authority, MAGRA, the Malawi Bureau of Standards, MBS, and the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA. While these institutions do not have dedicated votes in the national budget, they play a critical role in regulating strategic sectors of the economy and contribute significantly to government revenues through the remittance of dividends. First Deputy Speaker, allow me now to highlight the cluster's key findings and recommendations on their respective votes. I'll begin with the Malawi Post Corporation. First Deputy Speaker, sir, during consideration of the 2025-26 budget, the cluster recommended additional resources to support the turnaround strategy of the Malawi Post Corporation, recognizing the importance of reviving the institution and improving its financial sustainability. However, First Deputy Speaker, sir, the cluster notes with concern that the 2026-27 financial year, government has not allocated resources towards the turnaround strategy. This is despite the corporation's continued efforts to reposition itself as a financially sustainable institution capable of generating profits and remitting dividends to government. Furthermore, the cluster observed that the corporation's revenue performance has remained below expectations, with 6.5 billion collected against a revised revenue target of 8.04 billion in the previous financial year, representing a significant shortfall. Given the immense potential of the corporation, the cluster reiterates its area recommendation that government should consider providing resources towards the turnaround strategy during the mid-year budget review in order to support the corporation's reform efforts. First Deputy Speaker, I now turn to the Malawi Broadcasting Corporation, MBC. First Deputy Speaker, sir, in the previous financial year, the cluster raised concerns regarding the financial sustainability of Malawi Broadcasting Corporation, particularly the burden of legacy debts and the institution's reliance on government subventions. The cluster notes that although MBC registered some improvements in financial performance through cost-cutting measures, the institution continues to face structural financial challenges. In the 2026-27 financial year, government's subvention to the corporation has been reduced from 10.2 to 9 billion, while projected revenue has also declined slightly. The cluster therefore recommends that the government should consider revising subvention upwards, particularly to support servicing of the legacy debts incurred in the 2007 to 2008 financial year when the corporation was allocated 1 kwacha. Malawi Investment and Trade Center. First Deputy Speaker, sir, when the cluster considered the previous budget, it emphasized the importance of adequately resourcing the MITC, given its critical role in promoting investment and exports. The cluster notes that this challenge persists in the 2026-27 financial year. While the center has ambitious plans to promote investment, organize international trade missions, and operationalize the Chigumula Industrial Park, the proposed government subvention of 1.9 billion falls far below the center's budget. The center requires an additional funding to be more effective in their operations. Therefore, the cluster recommends that the Treasury increase funding allocation to MITC by, at a minimum, at least 2.8 billion to address the growing mismatch between its subvention and its expanded mandate. This mismatch, First Deputy Speaker, sir, between the expanded mandate and the available resources risks undermining the center's ability to effectively promote Malawi as an attractive investment destination. First Deputy Speaker, I turn to the analysis of the Ministry of Industrialization, Business, Trade and Tourism. First Deputy Speaker, sir, the cluster also reviewed the budget for the ministry responsible for industrialization, trade and tourism, which remains central to the government's economic transformation agenda. The cluster notes that the ministry's budget for the 26-27 year has declined by approximately 8%, largely due to the transfer of certain projects to MITC. While the cluster appreciates the ministry's continued efforts in promoting trade facilitation initiatives, such as the special economic zones, export processing zones, and automation of trade systems, it remains concerned that there is still no allocation for completion of the one-stop border post at Songwe, despite the corresponding facility in the Tanzanian side already being completed. The cluster therefore recommends that the government should allocate resources for the completion of the Songwe one-stop border post, as this is the busiest border and given its strategic importance of this infrastructure for the regional trade within the SADC region. First Deputy Speaker, sir, I turn to the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology. First Deputy Speaker, sir, the cluster notes with satisfaction the significant increase in the budget allocation to the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology, which has increased to 67.3 billion in the year 2026-27 2027. This increase reflects government's commitment to accelerating digital transformation and ICT development, which are critical enablers of economic modernization. First Deputy Speaker, sir, however, the cluster observes that several funding gaps remain, particularly in areas related to information management, communication services, and administrative operations. The cluster therefore recommends that the government should consider providing additional resources to address these gaps. First Deputy Speaker, I turn to the Competition and Fair Trading Commission, CFTC. First Deputy Speaker, sir, the cluster also reviewed the budget for the Competition and Fair Trading Competition and notes that the Commission continues to face operational challenges arising from limited funding. The Commission's budget for the 2026-27 financial year stands at 2.9 billion, representing a 2% drop from the 2025-2026 financial year. Out of this budget, the government subvention has been 2.1 billion, which is a slight increase from the 1.7 billion in the previous financial year. First Deputy Speaker, sir, the cluster also noted that the Commission's proposal to introduce the new levy to strengthen its resource base is a good idea. Whilst appreciating this need, however, the cluster expressed concern that Malawians are already subject to a number of levies and therefore urges caution in introducing such a levy as proposed. First Deputy Speaker, I turn to the UNESCO. Mr. Speaker, sir, the cluster acknowledges the important role played by UNESCO Malawi in supporting programs in education, science, culture, and communication. The cluster commends government for increasing the Commission's subvention from 990 million to 1 billion in this year. However, the cluster encourages the Commission to increase its visibility and strengthen public awareness of its programs so that more Malawians can benefit from its initiatives. First Deputy Speaker, I now turn to the Malawi Bureau of Standards. The cluster commends the Malawi Bureau of Standards for its strong revenue performance and commitment to strengthening consumer protection and quality assurance systems. First Deputy Speaker, sir, the Bureau projects revenue of 50.4 billion in the 2026-2027 financial year, representing a significant growth compared to the previous years. However, the cluster raised concerns regarding the influx of counterfeit products in the market and therefore urges the Bureau to strengthen enforcement mechanisms to protect consumers and ensure compliance with quality standards. First Deputy Speaker, sir, the cluster also analyzed the budget for SMAID. First Deputy Speaker, sir, I now turn to the vote. The cluster recognizes the important role played by SMAID in promoting entrepreneurship and supporting the development of micro, small, and medium enterprises. The cluster notes that the institution continues to face resource constraints and operational challenges, particularly in the area of outreach programs, mobility challenges, and limited capacity to provide incubation support to emerging enterprises. The cluster, therefore, recommends that the Treasury consider increasing funding to SMAID to enable the institution to effectively fulfill its mandate of supporting enterprise development across the country. The cluster is requesting the Treasury to consider providing an additional funding of 5.6 billion to SMAID, broken down as follows: 750 million for transition to SMEDICO, and 4.8 billion for the procurement and installation of machinery for value addition facility, which is under construction at Imponera. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, sir, I turn to NICE. First Deputy Speaker, the cluster notes that the allocation to NICE has increased slightly to 2.33 billion in the 2026-2027 financial year, although no development allocation has been provided. The cluster further notes that donor support for civic education programs is declining and therefore emphasizes the need for government to strengthen support to the trust to ensure the sustainability of civic education programs and citizen engagement initiatives. Treasury was urged to fast-track the disbursement of the 200 million remaining for NICE in the 2025-26 financial year. The cluster recommends that government engage the EU through diplomatic channels to ensure secure continued funding support for NICE under the government funding window, in view of the Trust's mandate to promote civic participation and accountable governance. First Deputy Speaker, the cluster further recommends that Treasury allocate an additional 2 billion to NICE Trust in the 2026-27 financial year to support governance programs and ensure uninterrupted service delivery, given the pulling out of the EU in one of the key projects, especially to support human resource management. First Deputy Speaker, I turn to the MACRA. First Deputy Speaker, sir, the cluster commends MACRA for its strong financial performance and continued investment in ICT development and regulatory oversight. The authority projects revenue of 65.9 billion in the 2026-2027 financial year, reflecting continued growth in the telecommunications sector, and 15 billion is expected to be remitted to government in dividends. The cluster encourages MACRA to continue implementing strategic ICT projects aimed at expanding connectivity and improving digital infrastructure across the country. In view of the MACRA's consistent track record of increasing revenue correction, as demonstrated by trend analysis from the previous years, the cluster recommends that MACRA should be supported to maintain its course and even exceed its revenue targets to assist in the economic growth of the country. First Deputy Speaker, we also analyzed the submission by MACRA. The cluster commends the Malawi Gaming and Lotteries Authority for its continued efforts in generating revenue for government. The authority projects revenue of 25.04 billion in the 2026-27 financial year, reflecting continued growth in the gaming sector. The cluster commended MACRA leadership for the continued revenue growth in the 23-24 and 24-25 financial years, as evidenced in the trend analysis. Notwithstanding, Mr. First Deputy Speaker, this achievement, the cluster expressed concern over the projected downturn in revenue growth for the 2026, 2027, and 2027-2028 financial years. In this regard, the cluster urged the authority to strengthen revenue generation efforts in the coming years. The cluster also noted potential challenges arising from regulatory challenges affecting revenue streams and therefore encouraged authority to strengthen its revenue generation strategies. The cluster was in place with MAGRA for the dividends that were being remitted to government every year and urged the authority to continue doing more. First Deputy Speaker, sir, in conclusion, the observations presented in this report highlight the importance of ensuring that budget allocations are aligned with mandates and strategic priorities of the institutions responsible for driving Malawi's industrial, trade, tourism, and digital transformation agenda. The cluster, therefore, urges government to carefully consider the recommendations contained in this report so that these institutions are adequately resourced to deliver on their mandates and contribute meaningfully to Malawi's long-term development objectives. First Deputy Speaker, sir, I now therefore move that this House adopts the report of the Cluster Number 10 on Industry, Trade, Tourism, and Media Information and Communication Technology. First Deputy Speaker, sir. Chitumbugado.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, for the cluster. We appreciate it. And Honorable Chairpersons, can I request the next chairperson? Honourable members, the reports are not for adoption, they are for noting. And despite that, they are for noting. Can I request the Honourable Government, Honourable Minister of Finance, and your team to take appropriate actions towards the reports that are being presented by the chairperson. So members of the cabinet in the House and the personnel from the Ministry of Finance at the back, please take heed to what I'm talking about, because the highlighted issues are supposed to be taken seriously. Can I request the next chairperson of a cluster committee? The silence means we can now start to consider honourable members for debate. So I already recognize honourable member for Mulanje Central for debate on the budget statement, Salima Central West, and then the honourable member for Rumpi West. So, honourable member for Mulanje Central, you have the floor.
Mr. First Deputy Speaker, sir, I thank you for giving me this opportunity this afternoon to respond to the 2026-27 national budget as presented by the Honourable Minister of Finance. Let me begin by acknowledging the difficult economic circumstances under which this budget has been prepared. Malawi is still facing persistent inflation, serious shortages of foreign exchange, rising public debt, and low economic growth. In such a moment, the nation expects, First Deputy Speaker, a budget that restores confidence, stimulates production, stabilizes the prices, and provides a clear path towards sustainable growth. First Deputy Speaker, sir, let me also acknowledge the efforts that government has made to stabilize the economy under difficult circumstances. The implementation of expenditure control measures and the efforts to strengthen domestic revenue mobilization are steps in the very right direction. Government also deserves recognition for interventions aimed at stabilizing food supply and supporting farmers during the lean period and economic stress. However, First Deputy Speaker, while these steps are commendable, the central question remains whether the scale and design of the policies contained in this budget are sufficient to stabilize the economy and unlock meaningful growth. It is on this basis, First Deputy Speaker, that I wish to offer several observations for the Honourable Minister's consideration. First and foremost, First Deputy Speaker, it is clear that this budget promises stability, yet it expands the fiscal deficit. It promises growth, yet investment in productive sectors remains very insufficient. It promises transformation, yet the structure of expenditure remains dominated by consumption rather than production. First Deputy Speaker, while every Malawian desires strong economic growth, the projected growth of 3.8% remains fragile. Under conditions of foreign exchange shortages, high interest rates, and limited industrial investment, expecting our economy to jump to such growth from the average 1.2% growth in the past 5 years requires far stronger structural reforms than those reflected in this budget. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, sir, the second major concern is the fiscal position of our government. The fiscal deficit continues to widen. For example, in the 2024-2025 financial year, the deficit reached 2.15 trillion. In the 2025-2026, it reached 2.9 trillion. In the 2026-2027, deficit is pegged at 2.85 trillion. It will likely exceed 3 trillion kwacha, First Deputy Speaker, because over the years, actual deficit tends to be much higher than the approved deficit. A nation cannot borrow its way into prosperity. Every trillion kwacha added to the deficit today becomes a burden carried by future generations of Malawians. Perhaps the most alarming figure in this entire budget, First Deputy Speaker, is the amount allocated to servicing public debt. Interest payments alone are projected to reach approximately 2.79 trillion kwacha in the 2026-2027 financial year. This simply means that 2.79 trillion of taxes will not build roads, will not build irrigation schemes, will not buy agricultural machinery, will not create jobs. It will simply go towards paying interest on past borrowing. When a nation begins to spend, Mr. Speaker, more on servicing debt than on building its future, the nation must seriously rethink its fiscal direction. Surely, First Deputy Speaker, this level of debt burden must result in overtaking or overtaxing the citizens and their businesses, the situation we are in. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, sir, when we adjusted PAYE and VAT, the rates, and introduced electronic transactions levy at mid-year, we thought it was enough. However, this budget proposed more taxes. The introduction of surcharges on a number of products, including fruits, kitchenware, aluminium pots, maize seed, diapers, toothpicks. This may simply increase the cost of living, especially if local production cannot immediately fill the supply gap. Secondly, high import surcharges often create incentives for smuggling and some may also conflict with regional trade rules in SADC and COMESA. First Deputy Speaker, out of the 8.43 trillion kwacha expenditure in the 2025-2026 financial year, government spent only 507 billion kwacha on locally funded projects and 28.5 billion kwacha on CDF, representing 6.4% of total expenditures. Revised estimates were 670 billion kwacha for projects and 46.4 billion kwacha for CDF. Government only funded 75% of that. Malawians, therefore, First Deputy Speaker, are asking that if government has failed to fund 46 billion kwacha CDF, how will it fund 865 billion in the inflated 1.15 trillion CDF? This creation of baseless optimism is a recipe for financial chaos, as councils are going to commit the highly indebted government to several binding contracts and create arrears. In 2025-2026, First Deputy Speaker, government spent inflated 709 billion kwacha on office operations. That was being an election year. This would have been maintained or sanitized in the 2026-2027 financial year. Instead, it is inflated further to 821 billion kwacha. It is wrong to create unrealistic budgets and fund only 60% of it. This creates arrears. Allocations towards government operations, First Deputy Speaker, have crowded out allocations towards priority sectors of agriculture, tourism, mining, and manufacturing, investments in irrigation, of course, mechanization, research, storage, infrastructure, and agro-processing are far very too low. The mining sector, First Deputy Speaker, holds enormous potential for transformation or to transform the Malawi economy. Properly managed mining can generate foreign exchange, probably creating employment and stimulate industrial development. For example, First Deputy Speaker, Cassia is the second largest rutile graphite deposit on the planet, with potential to produce $645 million per year for more than 50 years. Yet mining revenues remain very small relative to the sector's potential, and there's no urgency to implement pipeline projects. First Deputy Speaker, I want to suggest that a better budget would allocate 68.7 billion kwacha to CDF, that's 300 million kwacha per constituency, 650 billion kwacha on generic goods and services, given austerity measures, additional 100 billion kwacha towards productive investments, and an additional 100 billion kwacha towards ongoing projects. If MRI can address political and administrative challenges in tax administration, they would realize an additional 20 billion kwacha. This scenario would reduce the deficit to 1.89 trillion kwacha, which is a SADC recommended level of 6% of GDP. First Deputy Speaker, the People's Development Party believes that Malawi needs a new fiscal direction anchored on three key principles of fiscal discipline, productive investment, and private sector empowerment. Malawi does not suffer from a shortage of potential. We have fertile land, hardworking citizens, natural resources, and enormous opportunities in tourism, mining, and of course agriculture. What we suffer from, First Deputy Speaker, is a shortage of bold economic decisions. The time has come for Malawi, First Deputy Speaker, to move from managing poverty to building prosperity. With those remarks, First Deputy Speaker, I thank you for your kind attention. May God bless the House. Thank you.
Thank you very much for such a delivery. Please switch off your microphone. Thank you very much, Honourable Member for Mulanje Central. I already recognize Salima Northwest.
It's Salima Central West, Honorable.
Central West.
Yeah.
You have the floor, sir.
Thank you so much, Honorable First Deputy Speaker, for giving us an opportunity to make a contribution on the budget. First of all, Honorable Speaker, I bring you greetings from Senior Chief Kombedza, Senior Chief Karonga, number 16, Senior Chief Salima, Senior Chief Maganjira, and Sub-TAs Kazimbewani and Chotaika. Second thing, First Deputy Speaker, because I'm holding the floor, I would like to congratulate a good friend of mine who on Sunday was ordained as a pastor, Evers America. And I saw a number of colleagues, MPs that attended that function. I saw Honorable Kaduya there. I saw Honorable Kraus, Chukufenji, Honorable Osewa. And I knew that Honorable Kajomba is a pastor there. We are together. And thirdly, I would like to wish all colleagues outside there that are participating in the by-elections. Today there's by-election in this country. And I pray that they hold their peace and may the peace of the Lord be upon them as they wait for the results later, whether in the week or today even. Even if they contest 1 million people, there will still be one person whom we are going to welcome here. Fourthly, as a constituency, we would like to extend our condolences to the family of Honorable Jafari Musa, who passed on. We were not able to attend, but our prayers were with the family. Let me therefore turn to the budget, the Speaker. The people of Salima Central West constituency have unanimously...
Honourable Member for Lilongwe Muloza constituency. Order, please. Come back to where you were seated then. I saw you coming from this seat to that seat. So, I don't know which seat has the Speaker allocated to you. At the other side? Honourable Member, you can go back to your seat. Please, this should be a lesson. Thank you. I would like to participate to what the honourable member is saying, so I don't want anyone to block the view from where I'm seated. Thank you very much. Honourable member, you can continue.
Thank you so much, and I hope that the disruption by Lilongwe Muloza, the 2 minutes that is going to be compensated, First Deputy Speaker. I went to the actual budget now, that we unanimously have reviewed the budget documents, and the people have got desires. What people of Salima Central West constituency, Honorable First Deputy Speaker, are looking for, they are looking for a budget that supports local production in key sectors of agriculture, mining, energy. People of Salima Central West constituency, Honorable First Deputy Speaker, are looking for a budget that supports the growth of our economy through tourism. You pretty know we're coming from lecture site, which is quite often a destination site for most of the tourists. We are looking for a budget that supports the growth of our economy through a very good public infrastructure development on transport. And we are looking for a budget that supports the growth of the economy through. First Deputy Speaker, as Salima Central West constituency, we are looking for a budget that provides resources for universal health care coverage, because we equally want to enjoy access to quality health care services as the rest are doing. We are therefore want to make the following interventions, and we've picked few sectors. Let me start with mining. We have noted, Honourable First Deputy Speaker, that there is a reasonable investment growth in the mining sector by 5.3% thereabout. But our point of concern, First Deputy Speaker, is that even though there is this investment, which has got that growth of 5.3%, the contribution of the mining sector to our GDP still rise below 1%. This means that there is something wrong. And what is wrong needs to be fixed now, and there is no any other better generation that can fix it than ourselves. So that at least we benefit from the 352 billion Malawi kwacha, which has been allocated to the mining and energy sector. First Deputy Speaker, we are of the view that time is now that we Malawians, including people of Salima Central West constituency, rise to the occasion, set politics aside, and revisit all our mining activities, mining contracts that might look in the fine prints with promises of developments and aid, but behind these contracts lie exploitation and deceit by those that come and pretend that they are going to help us developing the mining sector. It is, therefore, our considered view that once we do this, we want to see our raw materials that are crossing the borders, First Deputy Speaker, cheaply. And later, sadly, when they cross the borders, they come back processed and finished products at 100 times the cost that they get from our land. First Deputy Speaker, we cannot justify the poverty in this country with the abundant deposits of quite a lot of variety of minerals in our country. We're told we've got uranium, we've got gold, we've got niobium, and I want to put my weight to what Mulanje Central also contributed. The cassia, rutile, and graphite, we have. And yet, we're still talking ourselves being in poverty lines. First Deputy Speaker, with all these deposits, and we still think we can lie on those poverty lines, it is an insult to our dignity, First Deputy Speaker. We can do better as a country. It's our considered view, First Deputy Speaker, that we should start organizing the artisanal miners. In my constituency, just last month, First Deputy Speaker, we lost 2 lives, a lady and a man, who, in search of a better life, got involved in these informal mining activities, and they got buried. It is very unfortunate. It's high time that we should now start investing in organizing these artisanal miners in cooperatives and provide a proper market. As we are organizing them in the long run, this all which is being extracted will find its market outside there, and we're going to have the most needed forex that we need as a country. Let me return to public health, First Deputy Speaker. We followed both contribution by the Cluster Committee on Health, as well as the key documents that are discussing the health budget. The health budget has got 1.02 trillion allocation to health sector, which in our considered view as a ministry, while it is looking at providing proper availability of medicine and medical supplies, can there be a deliberate arrangement to ensure that our public health outlets that are dilapidating now are rehabilitated? You know, health is not about pharmaceuticals only. It is also looking at the public infrastructure in which we are providing the services from. We would therefore want to urge the ministry that we should commit ourselves to ensure that at least we rehabilitate the public health infrastructure. Just today, First Deputy Speaker, I've seen videos circulating that water has even gone into Salima District Hospital to above the ankle and closer to the knee height. It shows that our infrastructure needs to be improved, because that water, even though there's heavy rains outside there in Salima and other districts, it was not supposed to be the case. We've said this because we need money to improve this infrastructure. I have in mind Kombeza Health Center, which got support from JCM through empathy projects. But the infrastructure is not officially opened up to now, and it is being underutilized. I think these are the things that we can improve on. With JCID, we've raised up infrastructure in Nema, the very significant Nema maternity wing. And we need resources that can preventably take care of this infrastructure so that they don't lose its form. We've got also an infrastructure at Chitara as well as in Chinguruwe. That's why we are saying if we can start now investing in public health, not only pharmaceuticals, but also looking at the public health infrastructure. First Deputy Speaker, just wanting to put also additional weight on the report by the Health Cluster Committee on central medical stores. There's need for resources. But you see, First Deputy Speaker, history can remind us that probably central medical stores does not need now a financial bailout. I want to explain. It's not far from now that central medical stores received a grant from World Bank totaling to $17 million US. That money was meant to buy pharmaceutical supplies, at least to replenish our stock levels that were going down. But what is supposed to be done now by the Ministry of Finance is to finance the hospitals, to pay back the money that they got from the supplies that medical stores was given. Even central hospitals owe a lot of money to central medical stores because the World Bank assisted in bailing out. We don't need that recapitalization again. What we need is that central medical stores should recoup its money. Unfortunately, these hospitals owe a lot of money to central medical stores, I think in the excess of 70 billion. So if that money is given, now they're looking for around 40 billion. They'll have an excess of 30 billion that at least they can kickstart some of their projects and make sure that our stock levels are kept in good shape. Just wanting to agree with also the chair for health cluster that they need money for an infrastructure improvement, especially the need for resources for infrastructure supply chain that they need. We need bigger spaces for, to keep the stocks that central medical stores always procure for us. Let me turn quickly to education budget. We are happy that education budget has got 1.3 trillion, much as it looks like a little bit of a drop by 2%. But they can still make good use of it. The only concern now is that there are some other budget sub-programs that have been removed from this budget line. First Deputy Speaker, just moral thinking that education budget is left out resources for the recruitment and promotion of teachers. Yet we have got a policy now in this country that says let's have free primary education and free primary secondary school education. The obvious is going to happen. There's going to be an increase in terms of enrollment. Now the question is, if there is an increase of enrollment in my constituency and elsewhere, and then we freeze the recruitment, where and how are these learners going to be taken care of. We need teachers. In my constituency, we still have an acute shortage of teachers and teaching materials. In this budget, we seem not to have resources for ECD. We still not have resources for the construction of hostels and no resources, money for inclusive education and the resource centers, which is commonly called ITRC. One may argue and say, no, you're going to use CDF. But we still don't have the guidelines, and we don't know how much in the guidelines we're going to be given for CDF and allocated to Ministry of Education to cover all these spaces that have been removed in the mainstream of the budget. At least some of these resources would have been kept at the central level so that they are passed on to where need is. Because there are some constituencies that are hosting national secondary schools. I don't think it will be...
You have 2 minutes to go.
Yes, plus the other 2 minutes that probably somebody had taken, I much obliged. But I was just making this argument and debate that education budget should seriously be looked at and some of the sub-items be put back. In terms of tourism, tourism is one key area that can help grow our economy. Salima can participate in that growth, and we know it is important. It has been given reasonable resources in excess of 51.2 billion. But tourism alone and money alone allocating to them is not sufficient. We need to improve access to the tourism side. If you look at the road from Kapatenga all the way to Salima, many of you are passing through there. There are quite a lot of potholes and so worrisome. People are putting off their vehicles, and then you see they are fixing tires. That cannot be an attractive thing. We need to improve our road access. We need also to improve manageable transportation. The cost of fuel now is so high, and I know people always want to be searching. I say, if we go to Malawi, you can reach Mangoja and Sarima, and you put few liters going to Sarima with that high cost, that might be a deterrent to the growth of the tourism sector. Finally, First Deputy Speaker, I want to agree with the chair responsible for budget and finance, talked about a review of departmental fees. It's high time that government should not hesitate if we are to diversify in terms of revenue correction. Some of the departmental fees have stagnated for so long. Yes, one buys a truck and still pays 36,000 for CYF. What is that? A truck worth millions. Can somebody fail to pay an adjustment of departmental fee? Even in trade, somebody would be given a 1 billion contract and still goes there and pay 20,000 for a license. What is that? We need to start looking at these departmental fees. The airport fees still low. Somebody violates our laws at the airport and still pays 5 million just because an act still says pay 5 million for the violation of ATS. I think it's high time that we should start now looking at these departmental fees so that they are a conduit to our revenue correction. Otherwise, Salima Central West still supports the budget wholeheartedly, and we are looking forward to a budget that can improve our livelihood in this country. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The honourable member for Rump West, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, First Deputy Speaker, sir, for giving an opportunity to the people of Rump West, the voice of the voiceless, who stands in the people's shoes from Hewe, Kanyenjere, Tazima, Machanda, Mwazisi, Garanganda, Rusani, Kampenda, Kayora, Janakazi, Chirinda, Chisimuka, Borero, and in my submission, First Deputy Speaker, sir, Honourable Member, have you remembered the place I visited in your constituency? Yes, we know you didn't pay all the dollars, so that's why I'm keeping quiet so that people cannot be reminded that you are remaining with 2 cows to give us. Ndiwe mkweni mpanga. I'll be submitting issues concerning Luntha, First Deputy Speaker, sir. But I may spill over to issue cutting across the northern region because northern region is like a body. You can't divide it. Once one section is denied, the whole body feels pain. I would like to thank the Minister of Finance. As my colleagues have already submitted, we know the situation this government is passing through. They inherited a barren woman who there is no hope. But still more, we can see she's jumping some months that shows that maybe Abirikasu. Mr. First Deputy Speaker, sir, the Minister of Finance in the national budget, the 2026-2027 financial year presented by the minister, able minister, everyone agrees. You see, as I'm talking today, maize is being bought around 10,000 to 15,000. Can't we say he has tried to manage the most vulnerable people in the villages? February 2027, 2026, he set this year's financial blueprint to 10.978 trillion, themed around driving economic recovery and sustainable growth. The budget that focuses on microeconomic stabilization, food security, and human capital. If we are talking about food inflation, I think what he has come up is speaking to what he has designed. Everyone agrees. Now you are able to plan to buy things for a week or a month without thinking that you go to the shop, you find that goods are going up on a daily basis. Bravo to the Minister of Finance. Katundu mzito pachitumbuka. Nkhuzi panyatiti zovo iyo ikuzgoka cha pachiduli. The key financial projections, total bana ineyo oro ya mali sisi undikuza ineyo ai.
Honorable member,
yes.
Address the chair.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
I'm following what you're discussing about.
And it is very
Did you say Katundu
today, the
Muzito?
anointing of the Lord is upon me.
Did you say Katundu Muzito?
Yes, Bwana Vega is Katundu Muzito, Zovo. The way he has played around with the food inflation is unbelievable, unimaginable. The Batmayers can see. Let the Lord, oh God, I pray as I speak. The key, Mr. First Deputy Speaker, sir, let me close. I have 10 minutes. This laughing will not add me 2 minutes. So let me proceed to what the people of Luntha want to submit to the government, to the able government. The able government, able. When we are talking of able, you know, even when you are driving, the car it can show that it is able to listen to your acceleration. The able government. Key financial projections totals to 10.978 trillion. That is 34.8% of the national GDP. Recurrent, listen, guys. I'm talking what the able government has put in place. If you have another government, bring yours.
Member, let's concentrate to the submissions to our speech.
7.581 trillion.
I rule the term guys out of order. We completely are not guys in this house.
Members of Parliament, honorable members of Parliament.
Thank you.
A Tumbuka man is like having more than 32 teeth in the mouth, so please forgive me. development expenditure, it's where now the heart of the people of Rumpi West want to dwell. From this able government, they wanted to know whether in the 3.397 trillion, which represents 30.9%, they have been included from 1964. They had things that were upon their hearts, they were waiting to be achieved. And they hoped that this able government, through the able minister, Zovo, this budget has taken on board. The revenue grants, 8.123 trillion, with 6.45 trillion from domestic revenues. We know when we are talking of the taxes, whatever, it is from the 6.45 trillion. I may not go where the PDP president zeroed in on the deficit, whatever, they now, president, no. Then one day, as an out, His Excellency President Dr. Daviza Mkandavili, no. Education has got the largest share, 1.28 trillion, 4.6 billion, 47.6 billion ring-fenced for the public primary and secondary education, 2.343 billion for 6 public universities. Rumpi seems to have a lot of students from there who will benefit from this. For the 2 billion for students' loans, Pamepo. Mzuzu University is going to benefit, and Rumpi students are benefiting from this. Agriculture, 931.1 billion on and 1.145 billion for fertilizer input subsidy. People of Rumpi Westminster Speaker, First Deputy Speaker, sir, they will benefit from this, but they have told me this. As I'm talking, we have a number of people from Rumpi West who are yet to buy the fertilizer, though the program has been closed. Why? I'll tell you the reasons at the end. It is not the fault of the minister, nor are we members of parliament, but the timing of the program and the inputs delivery, it's a problem. It requires reforms. Coming farming season, why don't we start earlier? Because we have failed to give fertilizer to the people of Rumpi because of the road impassability. The Rumpi, Nyika, Chitipa, Iromba, most known road from generations. So we request the minister to consider financing this program earlier so that people of Rumpi West next year, they don't have to come here and complain that the program has been closed. Fertilizer is available that you acquired at a shorter notice. You found the fertilizers that we are talking about was not there. And how did you manage to buy fertilizer within 3 months? That's why I call you Zovo. Chinyama chambura kuzgoka Rubiro. Mwanamveka. Possibly, if you may be kind enough, the Minister of Finance, talk to the Minister of Agriculture so that those people in Rumpi West who still have fertilizer in their cards, though you have closed the system, you can only give us 3 days so that they buy. They will use it, they will plant and harvest. So that when you are starting the new financial year, they will also get the fertilizer in time. They're on the better system, don't worry. Only the most spoken about Rumpi Nyika Road, Mr. First Deputy Speaker, sir. And the Minister of Finance is there listening. Are you listening, sir? Can we have a closure to this issue? People of Luntha, they have been crying for this road from 1964 today. Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, he is the one who made the groundbreaking ceremony at Borero. We have spoken, it's like maybe we just want to talk, but you can give us anything, but if you don't give us the road, even our ancestors, Honorable Minister, will not be happy. The previous government tried. They tried, they reached to their capacity. They only did 7 kilometers for 6 years. That translates to 1 kilometer a year. The 6 months, we have removed it because it was campaign period. We understand them. We understand them. But for DPP, we don't have mercy for you. This is your baby. You started it. It's better. You could have gone somewhere. This is your pregnancy. Professor Peter Mutharika's pregnancy. Everybody from Luntha West was seeing. He conceived the baby at Luntha at Borero roundabout. And we expect you to take care of the baby. The Minister of Transport. The Minister of Transport, people of Luntha will have no mercy on you. Last time we were told you had a minister. You failed to construct Luntha Road. And by the blessing and the anointing upon Kurukuta Moyo has given you the task. Fail again. I tell you, Honourable Minister, the Vice President of the North.
Honourable Member, you have 3 minutes to wind up.
I know. I'm done. If the Minister of Transport this time, Professor Mutharika has given you the mandate, you fail. Please change your surname and your home. Honorable Minister of Finance, we are worried. This stretch, the first 20 kilometers that we have been talking about all these years, only 7 kilometers, we as government, we as government, we are owing the contractor unpaid from the certificates that he has already completed. And we have started using that section, 6 billion. And the remaining 13 kilometers to Bembe, 16 billion is not budgeted for. What we have in the budget document is 4 billion. What kind of miracle are you going to do? I believe before we pass this budget, the able minister, Zovo, Yambula Kugoka Breka Pambula Chiduri, you look into this so that this Singhani Yarum Hinyiga Shtipa Road, Honorable Minister, whether you will find external funding, we will thank God. Whatever mechanism, if it fails, give us maybe a toll gate at Bwengo, we raise the money, we build these roads. Amen. We have a section from Bwengu to Njakwa, a very short distance. That is an entry and exit to Luntha. We are depending upon you, Honorable Minister. We have our friends in Chitipa, Iromba, where we are singing the same song. These guys, they stayed 6 years, they've done, I don't know, only God knows. I'm not saying they're bad, they did their best, because God gives everybody what to do in life. So they have done, we thank them, but we will thank DPP more than them when DPP delivers. We have the Bura Usisia Road, 1 billion. What are we going to do with that, Minister of Finance? We have a Dingen Road. We have the Mutangatanga, Eswazini going to Mperembe. These roads, people from the north, they are not crying for too much. If every regime that comes does about 100 kilometers, we are safe. We are safe. We are safe. Look at the people from Musiska, how they are dancing.
Honourable member, considering that the clapping is now coming from anonymously from both directions,
yes,
I'm adding 2 minutes to your speech.
Yes, thank you so much. Why are we voicing this? We have seen DPP opening up all radios which were shut down. So I'm not afraid to talk about these roads because I know the Father is here. Adadawiza amkurukuta moyo. We have the Kakware Road. If you open this road that connects the Lakeshore Road, if you talk of the Kapatenga to Chintechi, that section is a death trap. If we are talking about our friends in Nilikoma, they are not looking for much. Go and, whether you are going to borrow, a person can steam, I mean, they can be moving up and down. These are some of the issues that we are crying. Honorable Minister of Transport, our friends, they fly from here to Luntha every day. They look like they have money, but these people, they don't have money. We are richer than them. We want to be flying from Lilongwe to Mzuzu and do higher there with our wives and come back and attend this. Yes, I found one. Honorable Minister, the 1 billion that we have put there for Mzuzu Airport is not enough. The odd one, I'm not talking about the feasibility studies, that is something that you are planning, but I'm talking of the existing one. We want to be flying from here. We are also admiring our friends. Whether it means you are going to find an external donor, you bring the bills here. Ngongole zimetu kutenga zazatenga ndiwana watu bwana. We are not going to pay. Please borrow. Please borrow and develop. Don't borrow to consume. Borrow to develop. Bingu did it. Mkurukuta Moyo did it. Why can't you did it now? I have submitted my road. What the people of the north are looking. I don't think we have to sit here each and every time crying for the roads in the north. GPP, you were given this chance to open the north. And this is your time. I pray in Jesus' name that funds will be found. And God is going to grant you. We want the roads. We need the roads. Heavenly Father, I pray for the government.
Thank you.
Money allocate them. Not money to steal.
Thank you.
Help the north.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Honour Member. Thank you very much, Honour Member, for Rompe West, for that submission. I allowed you to do that, although it is not allowed in our standing orders. I allowed you to do that because the House surprisingly were enjoying what you were saying, and for the flights going up north, I want to support you.
Point of order.
I have an invitation from Karonga. I need to go to see the Nteme Wantemi, so I need that flight myself. But we are very lucky the Honorable Minister is here, and he has reason. He wants to say one or two things. Minister of Finance, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. First Deputy Speaker, for giving me the chance to echo or maybe to respond to some of the key issues that the Honourable Member has raised. The issues that the Honourable Member are very important. And I want to assure you that this government, the government of Tamoyo, knows exactly the challenges that not only the North, but the entire country is facing. That's why you've seen that in our PSIP, and I want you to look at our PSIP. If you noted there, we have put the amount, some of the amounts that are there are only for consultancies, or in some, not all of them. There are some that are fully provided for the resources. But there are some who are only provided for consultancies and maybe compensations. But most of the projects will be done off budget. That's why in my budget statement, we have said that we want to do, we want to use, like we have done with this 6-lane here. We had bonds, or we also do BOT, build, operate. Because as we speak now, ask the Minister of Transport, all the banks, they have now the money, don't know where to put it. The old initials, NICO, so resources are available. So I want to assure the Honourable Member and the people of the North, the road, the Nyika, it's called Nyika Rupi Road, the Romba Road, the airport, it will be done. It will be done. And I want to assure you that Nkukutamoyo has not come to joke. He has come to deliver. He wants to leave a legacy that people should know that there was a president called Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika who delivers. So I want to assure you that the amount that you see there is purely for compensations as well as design. But the roads will be done. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Were you raising?
Yes, Honourable Deputy Speaker, I stand to be guided by you, but I wanted to bring to your attention and the attention of the House that in my constituency, Lilongwe Pilanjuzi, a young man with albinism who goes by the name Chipiriro went missing 5 days ago. We reported to the police, but the search has yielded nothing. And so as people from Pilanjuzi, we are very worried. We are anxious as to what has happened to our brother. So I think, I don't know how the Honourable Minister of Homeland Security is going to help us, but we are really worried, and I wanted to bring this to attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honourable Member. Honourable Member, for Pilanjuzi, you are bringing a very important issue, but possibly without citing the standing orders, it makes the chair, actually it gives the chair no window to allow you to ask the question, but can I encourage you to either use standing order 69 for members to debate, or standing order 14 for you to get a proper answer from the minister or the ministry that is involved, and it will help us. But if you're asking for this House to say someone is missing, an individual with albinism, and you want us to comment, my comment is we empathize, seriously empathize with the family, and if indeed there are people out there that are involved in these barbaric actions, time is now for you to stop. Time is now for you to stop. Parliament now is in the process of inquiring everything, and if that is the process, we might for the future indeed put an inquiry and find out what happens to our brothers and sisters with albinism. So I guide you to use a proper standing order for that to be looked into. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Deputy Speaker, for the guidance. But I want to report to you that I feel greatly injured by Mangochi. Mangochi what? Is it?
Honour member.
I've raised a very serious issue. Our own brother with albinism is missing. And the statements I'm getting...
Honour member, let me guide you. I know...
We are answered.
Honour member, let me guide you. Deputy Leader, please resume your seat. Honour members, issues that affects human life and the suffering of people is a serious issue. And if indeed an honourable member of this House commented that way, I would like that honourable member to know the Speaker is not amused with that type of behavior. I would like to recognize the Deputy Leader, and then I'll recognize the Whip. Thank you very much.
First, Deputy Speaker, I wanted to, through you, to ask you to ask my Congress party this question. Every time when my Congress party is in opposition, we see our friends, our brothers of albinism missing and some butchered. Why? We were in opposition. No person of albinism suffered in this country. But see, the moment they went into opposition, we see our brothers and sisters suffering. Why? They must tell us what they do in opposition. Because we were in opposition, when they were in government, no single person suffered. What is it that they do? Is it that they kill these people for purposes of gaining political mileage? Why do you do this?
Thank you
very much. Please, First Deputy
Thank
Speaker,
you, Deputy Leader.
please ask them to tell us what they do while they're in opposition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Leader. We will rule when the MCP whip makes your comment. Please, let's strict. It's a serious issue on the floor, and I've already made a ruling to it. I'm only recognizing you because you're part of leadership. Thank you.
Thank you very much, First Deputy Speaker. Allow me to appreciate the ruling that you made on this issue. The matter that was raised by Honorable Pilanjuzi caught your attention, and you gave a very powerful ruling. But to have sentiments like our Amatida, as if Ogupaundi, because the matter that he has raised is about the missing of a person with albinism is regrettable. And First Deputy Speaker, when we raise these issues, it is for the attention of government because they now have the machinery with which they should help and give comfort and security to the people with albinism. If the whole Deputy Leader of the House stands here and points fingers at the Malawi Congress Party, that people with albinism are missing because we are in opposition, what about the machinery that is there to provide security to the people with albinism? I thought the machinery is with them. What are they doing with the machinery to provide security? You have the police, you have the Inspector General, you have the minister sitting behind you. Why can't you provide the security to the people with albinism? We built houses for them. We gave them security.
Thank you, Whip.
Why will you arrest me?
Whip, thank you very much. Whip, thank you very much. Honourable members, I've already made a ruling on that, but my ruling, I would like leadership from both sides. When you're making lighter moments, please desist from making lighter moments on serious issues on the floor of this House. And issues of people, of every human being, is a human right. And I would like the honour member for Pilanjuzi to raise these issues properly so that the honour minister, who is available, actually the honour minister of Homeland Security is the first to come. If we say who is the most punctual member of the cabinet, he's one of those that comes here and attends parliament so frequent. And I would like to applaud him for that. And the honour members, let's take advantage when cabinet is in the house to use our cabinet to provide direction, because cabinet holds the policy, the central policy of this government. Honour members, it is 15:46. I now suspend proceedings for a health break. The House will resume at 16:16. After the health break. Thank you. House suspended.
Luntha Television stands as an autonomous faith-based broadcaster with a national and international reach. Experience the difference with Luntha Television, where innovation meets experience. Auto-educated team backed by cutting-edge technology ensures seamless execution and unparalleled results. Luntha guarantees credibility and professionalism in all its